Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to a brand new video over on the SoRare Road to Glory. So, in today's episode, what I'm going to do is teach you guys how I'm finding players to invest in for the up and coming SO5 tournaments. Most importantly, the brand new Specialist tournament. As always, if you guys are interested in signing up to SoRare, there is a referral link down below. Once signing up, you'll get yourself a free limited card. Please don't overpay to get this limited card. It's only worth about £2 to £5. But it's a nice added bonus. On top of that, you do have to be 18 to play SoRare because it is real life money and that money is there to be lost as well as it is there to be made. Finally, if you're interested in all these investments and trading, I do stream from 6:30 every day covering a bunch of the investments and covering a bunch of trading. So how you're going to go and scout your players is you head over to Scout, you head over to Player Finder, and there's two sets of players. So the first set of players are players that you're going to gamble on having a good game this weekend. So, how you're going to set this filter up is you're going to go to players playing during this week. You're going to go to 260. Average all round, just going to set this to max. So, just all over the shop. Maximum there. Your SO5, you want to go and set to, I'd say, a maximum of 40, no higher. And then what you want to do with the L5 is you want to go and set the SO5 score to about minimum 42. And the maximum you're going to go and set this to is going to be, I'd say, 50. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to search, and you're going to find there's going to be quite a fair few cheap players popping up. 81 players. We've got, ideally we're looking for stuff under a fiver, just so it's like kind of risk-free. So you got like players like Son right here. You got players like, in fact, actually, what I'd recommend is lower the SO5 average down to 30. No, you can keep it at 40. So what you're doing is you're looking for some cheap players. So, I don't know, let's go and find, for example, who's about a fiver. Let's go with this guy right here. So, the first few things we're seeing is, did you actually play your last game? Yes, you did play your last game. Perfect. So we don't have to worry about that. Now, there's quite a long process to this, but yeah, we'll go for it. So, the second thing you're looking for is, in his L5, what is the score that's about to get replaced with the game that he's going to play this weekend? Brilliant. 29's about to go and get replaced. So, because 29's about to go and get replaced, his L5 will be really good. And what basically happens is the higher the L5, as long as their L15 is under 40, the more they're worth. For example, if I go look at players who are worth, let's say have an L5 of 50 to 60, you'll see that they're not really £4. Part of the exception. In reality, they're about 15 quid. And these guys have gone from £4 to 15 quid. This guy's up here at 18 quid. This guy's cheap, but I think it's because he's had a lot of DMPs. So what you'll see is the cheap players become expensive. So what you're doing in the first method is buying players, gambling that they're going to have a good next game, and then what that will do is bring up their L5, and as a result, bringing up their L5, it'll make them become a 15 quid player, not a 4 quid player. Now, the one thing you have to be very careful of is, yes, they'll have a good game and bring up their L5, but you've got to make sure that it's not too high and ruins their L15. So how you do this is, it's quite a long, convoluted method, is you basically want to go and grab all of these numbers. So you've got 35, you've got 35.7, you've got number 3, you've got number 4, you've got number 5, you've got number 6, you've got number 7, and you've got number 8. Lovely. And then you've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is the L15, the average of these games. But how it works is you can basically have a maximum score on average of 40 per game. Obviously to have an L15 under 40. So what I've done is I've thrown all the numbers here. And the 8 numbers is going to give me 309.7. And if I go and divide that 309.7 divided by the 8 numbers, at the moment he has an average of a 38.7. So there's quite a lot of leeway. Now, how you work this out is, because there'll now be 9 numbers, because one of those DMPs will get replaced with a score of his next game, you then do 9 times 40, because that's what they can average, which is 360. You then get this number, and you take away this number, 309.7, and that is the maximum score he can get the next game without having an L15 over 40. So that's a little bit of maths right there. So ideally, what we're hoping for is his 29 to get replaced with as high a score as possible, again, without it being over 50. So if he can go and get a 40, that's perfect. If he can go get a 45, perfect. If he can get as close to 50 as possible, perfect. But again, if he goes over 50, he is not going to be eligible for the under 40 L15. So that's where this gamble really comes in, and it's where you got to do a little bit of maths to work out what's the chance that they have a high L5, but what's the chance that they'll go over that L40. But again, if I was looking at this guy, I mean, he averages the best part of about £2.80. What's he right now? £3.90. He should go back down after the deadline. So, yeah, I'd as long as he can go back down around about the £2.90, in theory, it's not too risky. And again, if he can have a good game, he'll increase the demand and hopefully should increase the price. So that is the first set of cards. The second set of cards are doing the exact same sort of thing, but with cards that have a much higher SO5 score. So, for example, we're not looking at players who have to have a good game. We're looking at players who have to have an average game because they already have a high L5. So, for example, we'll go look at players with a minimum of 55 L5. And this is going to bring us down to, in fact, let's go to 52, because I don't think that'll give me quite enough players. So that will go and give me, there you go, 10 players. And and this is before they play, right? So before they play, you've got someone like this guy right here, who's actually could be really, really good. We've got ourselves Diaki Hashiroka. Now, I've already done the maths on this guy. And this guy obviously has really, really good demand already. He's gone from £13 to £30. Currently cheapest on the market, £27, so he's looking good. The highest score that this guy can get. So he's about to go and lose the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's about to go and lose the 42 score. But this guy can get, as long as he doesn't get a score above... Where is he? I've got a long list of all these players, just because, it helps with the research. There you go. As long as he doesn't get above a 50.3, he will be eligible for next week's specialist requirements. And on top of that, anything he gets higher than a 42 will increase his L5 score. So his L5 score is amazing already. But if he goes and gets between a 42 and a 50, they'll make him even more demanded. So what I'm kind of hoping on is that when the deadline ends, because we saw this happen with the underdog about a month ago, when the deadline ends, I'm hoping that what happens is people go and panic sale and they go and crash this guy's price. And then before his next game, if I wanted to, again, it's a massive gamble, I could go and buy him, hope that he doesn't get above a 50.3 but gets high, keeps a decent L5, and then he goes into super demand next week and does really well. Again, that is a heavy gamble on a player that's already double what they're normally going for, but that's the second sort of gamble you guys can make ahead of the games. Now, the third gamble, and well, it's not a gamble, but the third thing, which I'll cover in a later video, is actually going to be these guys post-playing their games. So every game from Friday onwards, you then don't have to worry about what the next score is because they've had their last score until their next game. For example, let's say that Thorm came out and he went and pulled in a 50. Wait, he'd have to put in lower. I think he'd have to pull in a 40 and he'd keep a good L5 because that 29 would get replaced. Again, you wouldn't have to worry about there being any more games because that's the last game until the deadline. Then you can look at buying them. You need to keep very hot on the cards. I've created a list of players that I'm going to look at their scores. So they're maybe not amazing right now, or they're very, very risky. But if I go and see them, and let's say they go and pull in, a score of 50, and that keeps them with a decent L5 and a decent low 15, then I'll go and buy them. But I'm just creating a list of players to keep on top of. Again, what you can do is throughout the weekend when people are playing, just keep this filter on, reset, and it goes from 10 players to 11 players. You go, oh look, there's a new player under the filter. Oh look, they're not inflated. Oh, I'll go and buy them because I know that they'll rise going into Thursday. So that's going to wrap it up. So how I've got my investments. Again, I've already created a list of like 15 players. What I've kind of started to learn is don't just give out the list of players until I'm done buying players, because otherwise what I do is it just makes it very, very hard to get any deals. On top of that, I just end up having loads of viewers undercutting me, and it's just not really good for me or the viewers when it comes to that. So hopefully if I can teach you how to find the investments rather than just spoon feed you the investments, it'll mean there's a nice amount of diversity within the community, and people won't be, on top of each other when trying to sell. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow where we will cover... I'll start covering players who I'm going to buy for this specialist, and I'll also probably be back doing a bit of trading because I haven't done that for a day or two.